Jody Fomer, and I'm an office manager here at Kruse Law Firm. And with me today is Senior Managing Partner and Owner, Lawyer Mike Kruse. And we are going to be tapping on the subject of the impact of out-of-custody criminal and DUI cases in the court system. So with that said, Mike, can you tell us what impact is being had on out-of-custody criminal cases since pandemic started, and specifically what's going on now?
Oh, very, very interesting question, Jody. So out of custody, we'll define out of custody. That's people who received bail. They've been released. They were arrested. Maybe they were brought down to the police station and were released by the officer on a promise to appear to attend court, or they were released on bail, or the Crown consented they were released in court. So
correct.
Out of custody. So it's an interesting question because what happened, the court system was paused, really paused to a great extent, starting about mid-March. And that meant trials did not resume till July 6th. And trials only resumed in a limited way because they only renovated initially, it was 93 Ontario Court of Justice courts and 53 Superior Court of Justice courts. So that's a limited amount of courts. And they've continued to renovate courts to make them safe during COVID. But this caused a lot of problems. What it caused was all these trials that had been set for the summer, they were paused. They went over. In other words, your trial was gone. You're languishing in custody or you're not, and you can't have your trial.
It's like sitting in a cloud somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And they've been reset or haven't even been reset, some of them yet. So the Crown said, and more criminal charges are coming in the system every day. So the Crown said to himself, oh my God, we are going to have a potential delay problem.
And a nervous breakdown with the breakdown.
Absolutely. So cases in Ontario, due to the timelines, and I covered in another podcast about trial delay, can be thrown out if your trial's not at a reasonable time. So the Crown said to myself, oh my God, we've got to come to grips with these cases. So we are and were during the entire spring and summer and continues getting a lot of great deals on all types of criminal cases. They were offering some degree of leniencies, which made it more cost-benefit analysis better for the client to accept the deal rather than go to trial effectively. So, for example, if a client might have been facing 5 months in jail, just to give you an example, the Crown maybe was offering 2 months, still within an appropriate range.
I'd take it.
Or the Crown was offering a conditional discharge on a case that they might not normally. And the judges during sentencing were giving a COVID benefit to a certain extent as well. And, you know, when I say this, they weren't giving away the farm, and they're not. It's still an appropriate sentence within an appropriate range, but it's at the lesser end of the range. Now, what is this doing? It's hopefully lessening this cascade of delay problem that still could emerge, Jody. It really could.
Yeah, we really don't know.
So it was a great time to hire a lawyer this summer for various reasons. Number one, you could get a good deal. Number two, you could, you know, if you hired a lawyer this summer, the lawyer could take all the steps necessary in your case to get it ready.
Yes.
And you could be ready to set it for trial now. You see, if you paused and didn't, no pun intended, and you paused and didn't hire a lawyer till now because, you know, then your lawyer's starting at day one, step one. And you may not, if delay happens in your case, you may not be arguing it because you sat in your hands. That remains to be seen. Those are legal arguments remain to be seen. So the message I'd like to get out to our viewership is, hey, you hired a lawyer, you got some great deals. DUI cases, we're getting a lot of careless driving officers. We still are. Not in, you know, in cases where there's absolutely no defense at all, there's nothing to hang your hat on. The Crowns aren't necessarily offering deals, although we've got some there too, believe me. But if you got even a little defense to hang your hat on, they're listening to that more. They're assessing their cases and they says, look, is there a reasonable prospect of conviction? That's the test in Ontario, by the way. That's the test you should always apply. They're applying it very stringently now and saying, look, we're going to withdraw that case or we're going to offer a fantastic deal.
Yeah, whereas back in the day, they wouldn't even really give a crap about that. They would just go, let's prosecute. We don't care whether we win or lose.
No, and maybe that's why we have such a great winning success record, because they kept taking weak cases to trial.
That's true.
All kidding aside. But no, absolutely. The Crown attorneys should be taking cases to trial that they have a reasonable chance of successfully obtaining a conviction, right?
And so I think, too, what you're saying, you know, another blessing amidst the whole COVID is it's forcing just not people in the judicial system, crowns, the ministry, judges, even ourselves, although in a pandemic, is there's been some plus sides to being in the pandemic for us in the judicial system, because it's forcing everything to change. How they look at cases, how they deal with cases, what kind of deals, for that can they give to everyone, and also forcing an outdated system to become part of the 21st century. So, and we're getting some great deals ourselves here at Kruse Law Firm.
Absolutely. And I think you're capsulizing this by saying, in summary, there's been a cultural mindset change by the Crown attorneys and the Ministry Attorney General to say to themselves, look, we can't go back to the old ways.
We need to get with the times.
We don't just run trials for the sake of trials. We need to run trials that we have a chance of winning. You see, if you set a matter for trial, a 3-week jury trial, and you have no chance of winning, you're tied up at court for 3 weeks.
Taxpayers'
It
money.
costs tens of thousands of dollars wasting time that we know we're going to win. I can't tell you how many trials I've done over the years where I knew I was going to win, and the Crown wanted to be unreasonable. They wanted, you know what, I'll just run it. I don't care, wasting
But the
court
question
time.
is, did you win those?
Yeah. I think most of them, Jody. Well, yeah, you've been with us a while. You probably know what I've won and lost over the years. So, no, it's an interesting question. It's very good for clients right now. It's good on DUIs. It's good on all sorts of cases. And I'm talking the full range. I mean, fraud, mischief, property crimes, sexual assault, lower level only. They're not doing it. And we cover, I cover, this is a broad overview, this podcast, but I cover specifics in a couple different podcasts. If you watch our podcast about how it's affecting domestic assaults and sexual assaults, and I go into Stream A Ignition, and I don't know where I touch on DUI, but
Very informative podcast.
no, absolutely, and we're all struggling through, but this is one of the positive, at least for clients that are coming out. And I might add, a lot of members of the public say, oh, these people are getting off scot-free. No, they're not. There's still reasonable deals. It's been a cultural mindset. The thinking that jail is great for everyone, that thinking is changing slowly. This whole 3 strikes are out stuff that came in the States was crazy, by the way. But we're having a mindset, people who deserve jail should go to jail. People who are on the more minor crimes, who are first-time offender, really, what are we accomplishing by throwing a first-time offender in jail? Unless it's a serious crime, of course, right?
Yeah. If prison was like, going to a log cabin up in the north, we'd say, okay, let's keep him in there. But I mean, really, your mindset totally changes when you're confined into prison. And yes, if it's something horrific, I do agree with you, Mike, that's where you should be. But the chances of someone rehabilitating, if they were already truly belonging in there, are pretty slim. So we want to keep as many people out of jail as we can.
Absolutely. If you're a first-time offender and you go to prison, who do you meet? A bunch of people who might have multiple criminal convictions. You may become a criminal after 5 years or 10 years in prison. Right? It does. You're not going to learn how to be a great member of society and sitting at a penitentiary, are you?
No.
But having said that, we're really at Kruse Law Firm, we're blessed to have been able to get through the pandemic. It's been stressful, but we're doing the best we can for our clients, and our out-of-custody clients have been very pleased with the deals we've been able to get.
And you've done a great job, Mike, getting us all ready and through this pandemic, too.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that, Jody. And the last word on this is the other the good thing is, at least now, if you're out of custody, if your trial was put over, or you've just been charged and you're innocent, you maintain your innocence, and we're not being offered a great deal, you can have your trial now. It can be set down the road. So that's a good thing. Yeah,
courts are still flowing, moving along. To answer those questions, a lot of people do ask that, what happens now? And not so much right now, but especially when the pandemic first started, oh my God, well, I heard the court's not even going, I don't even have to go to this first court date. I mean, things are going through the system. They are moving along. We're moving our cases along. So things are, aside from the pandemic itself, things are moving along.
Absolutely. Jody, it was great as usual to chat with you.
Thanks so much, Mike.
I look forward to chatting with you on future podcasts. And to our viewership out there, I hope you're enjoying our podcast. And I always love doing these, these educational podcasts, and I hope you're getting something out of it. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. I really hope you enjoyed our podcast. We are absolutely committed to bringing you informative and interesting criminal and DUI content. If you're watching this on YouTube, I ask and encourage you to like this video and subscribe to our channel. If you happen to be an audio listener, please follow us and stay tuned for more great content. If you've been charged with a criminal offense or a DUI in Ontario, please call us or reach out to us online with the contact form found at kruselaw.ca.